Welcome, everyone, to today's breaking news broadcast. And here I am with my corduroy jacket and scarf because the air conditioning broke in our office, and therefore the air conditioning is being tested, and I'm now in the refrigeration unit of, I don't know, what's Costco. That's what I feel like. Ever go into that area in Costco where you're going to the vegetable section or the fruit section? It's freezing cold back there. That's what the office is like. But Mercedes Sparks is evidently not affected by that. She's completely festooned in her summer attire, her Floridian outfit.
I just took the sweater off because I was like, no. I wore this nice dress today, so I'm going to brave the cold.
Well, I appreciate that. And Carl and Jonathan are over there. They're in their neutral. Look, comfortably sitting over there. Am I the only guy who's Arctic sensitive today in the office?
Yes.
Well, Carl's got the Fab Four shirt on too.
Well, he does have that. And that's always going to warm the cockles of your heart if you have the Fab Four festooned on you, you're regaled on your chest like that. All right, now here's where I want to go. But get the camera over there. I want you to see it. Come on, guys. I'm setting up the camera team over there. That's the Fab Four. That's the artwork of Hank Kunneman. Also, I think I have him behind my head here, but you can't see that. I got artwork there behind my head. All right, so look, lots of things are breaking news today, and that's the reason why I want to jump right into the big story everybody's talking about, which is it a surprise that Roe v. Wade is the issue that it is? And once again, here's the thing that always intrigues me. The real story is not Roe v. Wade. The real story is the fact that the states in America are starting to break apart in this culture war so that they're expressing their different priorities and values. And at the heart of this whole Roe v. Wade debate, it isn't really, as it ought to be, about the life of the unborn and when is the baby in the womb actually recognized as a human being. That's what the case argument really is about. But it's going to be dropped down to a woman's right to protect herself from the invasive, overreach of what? Religious government or something like that. That's how the left is going to position it. But I don't think it's going to work. I think they can only gin up and create a foment in their base to a certain point. And it's going to fall apart because this really is a question of who gets to decide what the states are going to do as regards their own legislation on important matters. This goes to the idea that the states have far more power in the United States than the federal government if the states ever utilize it. And that's what this is really going to end up being. So but we got that. I also want to talk about a lot of the information that we're missing, which is how is the battle for the soul of the nation actually playing out? And I'm going to give you a force field analysis, is what it's called, on the big 5 fronts that we're advancing on now that show that there's a major evidence that the left and the ideological power of the left is having to back up consistently. So, Mercedes, let's start with, you've been doing some research on the case. You've been reading the document. Now, what is already public knowledge is that this 62-page confidential briefing that came from Justice Alito is supposed to be an internal document where they refine and nuance what they're going to be saying in public. And this was supposed to be coming out like in July or something. But because of a leak that looks like it came from Sotomayor's clerks, it's always, you notice this, it's like the self-control on the left is always a problem. They will break the law at every point where they want to push something. It's kind of like when Comey was leaking stuff to the New York Times. Well, this gets leaked to the New York Times. The Democrats and the media work together with the activists and the deep funding to control the American narrative. But the American populist movement, which is expressed in the states and this gathering storm of unified consensus in the country, is pushing back in schools, on school boards. You see the WEC back at Disney in Florida. And I believe it's systemic, meaning the nation itself is finding mechanisms to voice their democratic right to push back on the overreach of government and the mandating of things which haven't been successfully sold to the American people. And that's the whole premise of how democracy has to work. You have to sell America on an idea. You can't just force it. What happens on the left is if they can't get what they want by selling it, they'll get it by virtue of litigation. They'll find a court to impose it. And this produces a resentment after a while. And that resentment is beginning to foment on several fronts. And it's finally finding its organizational alliances to be able to push back. It's like a team sport. You have to have organizations show up against organizations. And then the tipping point gets found. Could be argued, Mercedes, that the whole leaking of the Supreme Court document and the distraction of that issue now, some people say, is done because they want to block the documentary. But I'm going to throw it over to you, and you can deal with either one. Either the Roe v. Wade document, the Alito document.
It's like you just like the whole show in like 8 minutes. It was like the craziest thing. It's like the whole intro of 8 minutes. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. I'm like, we should talk about it.
I'm setting up the agenda. I mean, look, I'm cold. I'm thawing out. I'm getting my brain working to keep my body moving. I'm going to start a fire here on my desk in a minute.
You literally covered all the stories in 8 minutes. So to tease him back out.
Did I bury the lead? Did I bury the whole cemetery?
Complete opposite. You gave all the leads in 8 minutes.
Oh, maybe I was confusing a cold open with the actual podcast.
No, it's good. That's good. There is so much more waiting for you over at lancewallnau.com/podcast. This was only an excerpt. This isn't the whole episode. There's so much over there. Be sure you go check it out. lancewallnau.com/podcast. See you over there.
Imagine what it would be like if you and I got together for an intensive weekend and I focused on you fulfilling the specific call and assignment God has on your life. We call that Level 10 Living. And we actually have a level10living.com site set up right now, specially for you. And what we've done is we've taken this weekend experience where people paid thousands of dollars for that immersion, and we reproduced it so that you could be just like you're at the event with all the material, all the exercises, all the training. Just go to level10living.com and get the most powerful transformational training that you'll experience.